So what do I think are the top 10 worst Best Actress Oscar lineups ever? Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. So a few days ago, I gave you my list of my favorite Best Actress Oscar lineups. Some wonderful lineups in the bunch there. Some that I think have 5 stellar performances. I wouldn't remove any of them. Now we get to the other side of the coin. What are some lineups throughout the decades of the Academy Awards I don't much care for? Where did they really get it wrong? I've got 10 years to talk about here. 10 years at the Oscars where Best Actress could have gone better. Let's begin with 2022, which has 2 dynamite performances, 2 wonderful Best Actress nominations, obviously a great win here. Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. Yeah. That's great. I'm happy with those 2 being included, obviously. But then you get to the other 3. It's all right, I guess. Ana de Armas, Blonde, Andrea Riseborough to Leslie, Michelle Williams, The Fabelmans. These other 3 Best Actress nominations for 2022, I don't love. De Armas, I know, has her lovers and her haters for this nomination. I don't hate it, but it's not great. Riseborough came out of nowhere, right? Just out of nowhere, how she got the nomination for To Leslie, that has never sat well with me. And I, of course, adore Michelle Williams, but I do think her performance in The Fabelmans is a supporting one. She should have gotten into supporting for that. I just think outside of Yeoh and Blanchett, the lineup for 2022 is a little weak. Could have been better. Especially because that was the year of Danielle Deadwyler in Till. One of the best lead female performances in the movies of the decade. She should have been in line to maybe win prizes for that performance. She completely blew me away in that. Why did she not get the Oscar nomination for that performance? It still bugs me to this day, guys. She should be in that lineup. Number 9, 1963. So we have some wonderful Best Actress lineups throughout that decade, the 60s. The movies that decade are pretty great. And so I was actually surprised going through the list, oh, there is a lineup from that decade I don't love. It is 1963. That's the year Patricia Neal wins for HUD. A 20-minute performance wins Best Actress. Talk about category fraud. And sometimes category fraud, it's okay with me. But I do think Neal for HUD should have been in supporting actress. I don't know about you. And then you look at the other 4 nominations there. Nothing really stands out to me as a great one. Obviously we have some wonderful actresses here. Natalie Wood, Shirley MacLaine. But The L-Shaped Room, Irma la Douce, This Sporting Life. These are not movies and performances we're really talking about much anymore. The one I really like here that's in the right category, Best Actress, is Natalie Wood, Love with the Proper Stranger. I've always adored that actress, and I'm happy she got in at the Oscars a few times. That's a good performance. I'm happy that got nominated here. But the other 4 nominations, you can kind of take it or leave it with me. I think something the Academy could have done that was really cool for that year would have been nominating Julie Harris for The Haunting. It's a horror film, it's a ghost story. It was going to be hard for that to get in at the Oscars, I get that. But Julie Harris is phenomenal in that film from 1963, The Haunting, directed by Robert Wise. If she was here in this lineup, I might not have included it because I really love that performance, but she's not here, so this Best Actress lineup is on the list. Number 8, 1999. So I've talked about this on the channel before. 1999 is my favorite year for movies. And yet, the Best Picture lineup for 99 was in my video for the worst Best Picture Oscar lineups ever. And here we have Best Actress, which beyond the main 2, where the competition was, the other 3, they're okay, but I'm really, do all 5 of these Best Actress nominations for 99 reflect that amazing year in cinema? Hilary Swank for Boys Don't Cry and Annette Bening for American Beauty. Those, of course, can stay. Those are all-timers, wonderful performances. But then you get to the other 3. Janet McTeer, Tumbleweeds, that's a good performance. She won a Golden Globe for that. That one's pretty good. But the other 2, I just don't care for, guys. Julianne Moore, The End of the Affair. I finally just watched that movie about a year ago. I had never seen it before, and like, she's okay in it, but boy, that is a slog of a movie, and I don't think she had to get in here. Her better performance in 99 is Magnolia. She should have gotten in for supporting actress for that film. And then, I mean, inarguably, I would say, one of the weakest Meryl Streep Oscar nominations is Music of the Heart. That movie's fine. I've seen it a couple times. I still like that Wes Craven directed an actor to an Oscar nomination. That's cool. But like, compared to her other performances and Oscar nominations, it's definitely one of the weakest ones. Because 1999 in cinema is so frickin' phenomenal, it just feels weird to me to look at Best Actress that year at the Oscars, and it's like a womp womp. It's like, yeah, some of it's good, but some of it's not so good. I think the Academy could have done something really inspired that year. Would have aged extremely well, and that was Reese Witherspoon getting into Best Actress for Election. Especially since she goes on to win an Oscar for Best Actress in a year I'm going to get to in a moment, and gets a nomination years after that for Wild. Like, her best performance in the movies, I think, by a lot, is Election from 1999. She got nominated at the Golden Globes. I think 100% Reese Witherspoon should have gotten into Best Actress at the Oscars for Election. Number 7, 1936. So those early years at the Oscars, Best Actress can be a little wonky. Sometimes it's 5 nominations, sometimes it's 3 or 4, there's a write-in vote for Bette Davis. It gets very confusing that first decade at the Oscars. And yeah, there are some weak lineups early on. I haven't seen like everything, to be perfectly honest. I am working on it. Like, my project over the next few years is to fill in all the gaps. But many of the Best Actress lineups of the 30s, you have at least 2 or 3 real standout performances, many performances we've seen and talked about. 1936, it's like, basically there's one great performance here, Carole Lombard in My Man Godfrey. I've seen that movie, I adore that movie, she's great in it. These other 4 nominations, it's like, no. It's like, you know, there's not much to talk about here. Louise Reiner wins her first of 2 back-to-back Best Actress Oscars for The Great Ziegfeld, and she's barely in that movie. You know, she's okay, but like, for her to win for that, it's pretty crazy. You have Irene Dunne here, Norma Shearer. I adore those actresses, of course, but like, Theodora Goes Wild? No. And Norma Shearer is way too old to play Juliet in the 1936 version of Romeo and Juliet. Like, she's like 10, 20 years too old for that role. And so, you know, I've seen that movie once, and it's well shot and like produced and stuff, but the actors are too old for those parts. So I don't think she needed to get the Best Actress nomination. Gladys George, it's just, you know, this one's kind of a head scratcher. Maybe there just weren't enough, you know, great contenders for 1936. Maybe that happens. But there was one that came to mind, Ruth Chatterton for Dodsworth, which gets into Best Picture and is one of the best films easily of 36. Why is Ruth Chatterton not here for that wonderful performance? A woman in a marriage that has its struggles. Like, that's a really kind of underrated film from that decade, Dodsworth, which I finally watched a couple years ago. So Ruth Chatterton should at least be here, I think, to make this a better lineup. Number 6, 1943. So now we move ahead a decade to the 40s. What's a year from that decade I don't think is very strong? 1943 popped out at me because you have some wonderful actresses here in movies that we just don't talk about anymore, like really reflect on. You know, Jennifer Jones wins for The Song of Bernadette, and she's fine in that, but it's kind of a flat performance, a flat movie. It's not really anything great. I don't think she had to win for that. And then you have Greer Garson, who I love, in Madame Curie. It's like, okay. Joan Fontaine, I adore. The Constant Nymph, okay. And then the one that really bugs me about this lineup, which just absolutely infuriates me actually, is that for 1943 at the Oscars, Ingrid Bergman gets into Best Actress not for Casablanca, that year's winner at the Oscars for Best Picture and Best Director. She does not get in for Casablanca. She is instead nominated for Whom the Bell Tolls, which is like her other big movie that year. And it's like, yeah, what were they thinking with that one? That's just so silly. If Ingrid Bergman was here for Casablanca, you know, I might not include 1943 in this lineup, but snubbing her for Casablanca in favor for Whom the Bell Tolls, no. That's silly, that's stupid, and so 1943 gets to be in this video. Number 5, 2005. So most of the Best Actress Oscar lineups of the last, let's say, 25 years are pretty solid. There might be a performance here and there that gets in that I'm like, okay, you know, like not my favorite. But usually 3 or 4 of the 5 nominees each year in Best Actress I'm pretty happy with. And going through the list this morning, I'm like, yeah, like most of these are pretty good. Like some of them, you know, made my Best Actress Oscar lineups video. Like some of the best have been in the last 25 years. But there has been one year in the last couple of decades where they really got it wrong. 2005, I don't know about you, I have never liked that Best Actress Oscar lineup. It's kind of a shrug, it's kind of a snore, you know, there's basically one performance there I really love, and that's Keira Knightley, Pride and Prejudice. I think that's a wonderful performance. At a very young age, Knightley got into Best Actress at the Oscars for that film. I think that's really inspired. I like that nomination. The other 4 I have issues with. I think Charlize Theron gives a pretty mediocre performance in North Country. There's nothing really spectacular about her in that. I don't know why she's nominated. You have Judi Dench, which this year, 2005, I think is just like a name check nomination for Mrs. Henderson Presents. Like, she didn't have to get in for that. Felicity Huffman is good in Transamerica, but obviously, you know, there's some issues with that portrayal. Has not aged very well. And then Reese Witherspoon Walk the Line. She's good in that. And like, if she had just been nominated, I'd be okay. But like, I just don't think Witherspoon was deserving of a win for Walk the Line. It's just, I don't think it's that amazing of a performance. So especially compared to like 2004, like the year before, 2004 at the Oscars in this category, and then 2006, a year later, where you have just stunning all-timer Best Actress nominations. 2005 is like the black sheep. You know, it's like, it's not great, especially now 20 years on, looking back on that year. It's like, really? We couldn't find some better performances to include here? I have 2. I think that would have been amazing Best Actress Oscar nominations. You have Maria Bello in A History of Violence. She got into Best Actress at the Globes, but some have argued like, well, that's more of a supporting actress performance. Maybe there was category confusion there, I don't know. But one performance that would not have had category confusion, that got into Best Actress pretty much everywhere, she deserved to get into the Oscars that year in this category. Ziyi Zhang, Memoirs of a Geisha, she should be here. Over Charlize Theron, you know, like over Judi Dench. Like, there were a couple places here that could have gone to other actresses. So yeah, Best Actress 2005, that is one of the worst Oscar lineups ever in this category. Number 4, 1957. So I had to include one Best Actress Oscar lineup from the 50s. That is probably my least favorite decade for cinema. I don't really like the 1950s, like outside of, you know, the occasional anomaly, Alfred Hitchcock movie. There's obviously good stuff made that decade, but if I'm going to revisit films from a decade, 1950s, like that would not be at the top of my list. And so going through the different years in Best Actress, they're actually pretty solid, you know? There's not a bunch of bad ones, but 1957, that one popped out at me as a pretty weak lineup outside of the winner. I very much adore Joanne Woodward in The Three Faces of Eve. I adore that performance, that win, that can stay. She's a great actress, and For her to win for one of her many wonderful performances, The Three Faces of Eve makes sense, right? She's great in that. But the other 4 performances here, you can kind of take it or leave it. Deborah Kerr, I adore, but for Heaven Knows Mr. Allison, that's not one of her most well-remembered Oscar nominations. Elizabeth Taylor has a couple really great nominations like the next 2 years, but 1957 she gets in for Raintree County, which I looked at once. It's not much to write home about. It's not very good. I don't know why she has to be nominated for that. Lana Turner, Peyton Place. I mean, it's kind of inspired, not the most acclaimed actress in the world, right? Lana Turner, she gets her one and only Oscar nomination in Best Actress for this soapy drama, Peyton Place. I mean, that one's okay. That can stay. I kind of like that. But she didn't have to be nominated for that movie. And so really it's just Joanne Woodward I like for 1957. That's the only one that deserves to be there 100%. The other 4, it feels like we're just filling in the category. There's not enough. And it's well, Deborah Kerr, Heaven Knows Mr. Allison. Why couldn't we have nominated Kerr for her much more enduring film and performance from 1957, An Affair to Remember, of course, opposite Cary Grant? It's why can't she be nominated here for that film instead of Heaven Knows Mr. Allison, which is a title, you don't hear much about these days. An Affair to Remember is the better film and performance for Kerr. Honestly, an even better Best Actress Oscar nomination for 1957 would have been Marlene Dietrich for Witness for the Prosecution, the Billy Wilder courtroom drama. She got in at the Golden Globes for that, and I saw that film for the first time just a few months ago. And Dietrich only has 1 Oscar nomination from the 30s for a movie called Morocco. She should have gotten at least 2. So for 1957, I would have taken out one of these actresses and put in Marlene Dietrich for Witness for the Prosecution. Number 3, 1984. This Oscar lineup from the 80s is pretty stiff. It's all very dramatic performances that haven't endured very much throughout the years and decades. Sally Field is okay in Places in the Heart. Did she have to win a second Best Actress Oscar for that? I've never really thought she needed to. Although if she had lost, we wouldn't have gotten that amazing speech, right? like her amazing speech. You look at the other 4 nominations here, and there's wonderful actresses, right? Judy Davis, Jessica Lange, Vanessa Redgrave, Sissy Spacek. You might be like, Brian, how could you include this at the very top of the worst Best Actress Oscar lineups in history? For me, what puts this Best Actress lineup near the top of the list is that all of these actresses have been nominated for an Oscar for better movies in other years. Not a single woman nominated here is giving their best performance, has their best Oscar nomination. It's the bottom of the quality of Oscar nominations for all of these women. So that's why it's here. Sissy Spacek, The River. It's okay. Vanessa Redgrave, The Bostonians. Who's talking about that movie? Jessica Lange, Country, that's a pretty solid nomination. But compared to France's 2 years before, no, it's not in that league. And Judy Davis, A Passage to India, I just watched that movie for the first time about a year ago. And she was good in it, but nothing spectacular in her performance. So yeah, 1984 is not a great lineup at the Oscars for Best Actress. They could have given us something fresh and fun. How about a genre movie performance, a science fiction film? Jeff Bridges is nominated in Best Actor for Starman. Why couldn't Karen Allen get an Oscar nomination as the female lead? That would have been cool. Or what about a comedic performance? How about Kathleen Turner in Romancing the Stone? She won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. Why couldn't she be nominated here? I think Best Actress at the Oscars 1984 is just too stuffy. It needed something in there to just shake things up, especially Turner in Romancing the Stone. That would have been awesome. Number 2, 1994. 1994 Best Actress at the Oscars is a slog. It is dull. There is nothing exciting there. You know, the winner, Jessica Lange for Blue Sky, she had to win a Best Actress Oscar at some point. And so I guess it can be for that. The movie is just okay. She's good in it. I don't think she needed to win for that movie, that performance, but like that nomination at least is fine. Jodie Foster for Nell, like kind of an obvious Oscar baity role, so of course she gets in. Winona Ryder for Little Women, that's a good nomination. I like that. I've always really liked Winona Ryder, and you know, she's perfectly good in Little Women. I'm happy, like, she got nominated for playing Jo. Saoirse Ronan got nominated for playing Jo many years later. That's obviously a role that Academy voters like. So Winona Ryder is fine. Miranda Richardson, Tom and Viv, yeah, like she's solid in that, but like there's nothing exciting about that nomination. And Susan Sarandon for The Client. I have never liked that nomination. It just felt like they were name-checking her. She had just been nominated for Thelma and Louise and Lorenzo's Oil, and especially because Sarandon wins the next year for a much better performance in Dead Man Walking, I just don't think Sarandon needs to be in this final list for Best Actress at the Oscars for The Client. Like a summer potboiler John Grisham adaptation. Does anybody watch The Client now, you know, and talk about her performance? You know, she's decent in that movie. It's not a bad performance. That just seemed like a stretch. Especially because we could have done something really inspired, right? We could have done something amazing for 1994 and given Jamie Lee Curtis a Best Actress Oscar nomination for True Lies, which she won the Golden Globe for, gave an amazing speech. Something that might have hurt Curtis is that she's nominated at SAG for True Lies in Supporting Actress, so maybe there was category confusion. I always saw her in that movie as a Best Actress contender. I think if Jamie Lee Curtis had made it in for 1994 at the Oscars in Best Actress over, let's say, Susan Sarandon, then this lineup would not be in the video. I would not have included it if Jamie Lee Curtis was here, but because she's not here, because you don't have any other kind of exciting nomination like Meryl Streep for The River Wild would have been cool too. She got in at the Globes and at SAG, but not at the Oscars. I mean, do we need another Meryl Streep Oscar nomination? Maybe not. But I do think Meryl Streep getting in for The River Wild would have been cool, and especially Jamie Lee Curtis for True Lies. Come on. 1994 Best Actress at the Oscars. It's stale. It hasn't aged well. It's very dull. Jamie Lee Curtis would have made this Oscar lineup so much better. And finally, that takes me to my number one choice. What do I think is the worst Best Actress Oscar lineup in history? I am going all the way back to the beginning, you guys, to the second Academy Awards, celebrating the films of 1928 and 1929. I think the Best Actress Oscar lineup for the second ceremony is the worst of all time. For a few reasons. The first one is that the winner that year is Mary Pickford for Coquette, which is just like an absolutely dreadful performance. That shouldn't be nominated, that should not have won. Mary Pickford, like she was doing some shenanigans behind the scenes to ensure that she would win this. I made a video about that many months ago. Mary Pickford should not be here for Coquette. That is a dreadfully dull movie. She is not good in it. Like, for her to win this, you know, it's not a good sign for the lineup. Another reason I include it as my number one choice is that there are 6 nominees, guys. There are 6 nominees, and that makes me feel weird. That makes me feel very uncomfortable. I'm okay a few years in the 30s when there are 3 nominees, and obviously I love the 5, but to have 6, no. like, what are they thinking? You know, the year before, it's just 3 nominees, and then this year, for the second ceremony, there's 6. And it's like, really? We couldn't just do 5? You know, like, so I don't like that. And then you look at the other nominees, and there's not a standout. You know, there's some good actresses here, of course. There is not a single performance here where you're like, oh, but that one, Brian, that one's great. You know, I have seen most of these, at least in part. I think Gene Eagles for The Letter is the one that I do really admire here. Eagles died before the Oscar nominations. To this day, the only posthumous Best Actress Oscar nomination ever is Jean Eagles for The Letter, and I looked at some of that film and she's very good in that. It felt a little bit like ahead of its time, so if there's like one decent, good performance here that can stay, Jean Eagles makes sense. But Ruth Chatterton, Madam X, Betty Compson, The Barker, Corinne Griffith, The Divine Lady, Bessie Love, The Broadway Melody, Mary Pickford, Coquette. Ugh, God. Awful. So bad. Like, just having Mary Pickford here for Coquette, it makes this lineup so awful already. And then you get to the other nominations and it's like, yeah, this one's pretty weak. Now you might be asking yourself, is there somebody in a movie released in 1928 or 1929 who could have gotten into Best Actress? Yes, there is. Joan Crawford, Our Dancing Daughters. That was her breakthrough. Like, she had been in movies for a few years and that was the movie that really put her on the map. Why not give Joan Crawford a Best Actress nomination right near the beginning of her career, at the end of the 1920s? That would have been super cool. Going through the lists of all of these decades, you have some years in Best Actress at the Oscars that are better than others. You have some weak years. Sometimes there's a nomination or two that shouldn't have happened. Those actresses should not have gotten in. But when you look to 1928/1929, the second Academy Award ceremony, I do think this is the worst Best Actress Oscar lineup in history.